Right now, somewhere in your life, a woman is showing you one of these four body parts on purpose. She is literally screaming, I want you, without saying a single word. And you are completely missing it. I know this because I am a woman and I have done every single one of these things. And the guy just sat there smiling like a golden retriever with no idea what was happening. So today, I am going to betray my entire gender and tell you exactly what we do with our bodies when we are attracted to someone. And the fourth one on this list, most men have never even heard of it. But once you know it, you will never unsee it again. Okay, so here is the thing that nobody talks about. According to Dr. Albert Mehrabian's research at UCLA, 93% of all communication is nonverbal. That means only 7% of what a woman tells you comes from her actual words. The rest, it comes from her tone, her facial expressions, and most importantly, her body. Now think about that for a second. If you are only paying attention to what she says, you are literally ignoring 93% of the conversation. That is like reading the title of a book and thinking you finished the whole thing. And here is where it gets really interesting. Women are significantly better at nonverbal communication than men. A study published in the journal Psychological Bulletin found that women both send and receive nonverbal cues with far greater accuracy than men do. So what does that mean for you? It means she is sending you signals constantly, precise, intentional, biologically driven signals. And most guys are walking around with their signal receivers completely turned off. I am about to turn yours on. But before I get into the four body parts, I need you to understand something crucial. These are not random gestures. These are deeply rooted in human evolution and reproductive psychology. When a woman is attracted to someone, her body starts doing things that her conscious mind has not even approved yet. It is like her biology submits the paperwork before her brain signs off on it. And that is exactly why these signals are so reliable. She cannot fake them easily because half the time she does not even realize she is doing them. So let me walk you through all four, starting with the one that is the most ancient, the most primal, and honestly, the most dangerous signal a woman can give. The first body part she shows you when she is attracted is her neck. And I do not mean she just happens to have a neck that you can see. I mean she actively, deliberately, and sometimes subconsciously exposes it to you. She tilts her head to one side during conversation. She sweeps her hair off one shoulder. She reaches up and touches the side of her throat while she is talking to you. If you have ever seen a woman do that slow hair flip, where she gathers all her hair and pulls it to one side, leaving one full side of her neck completely bare while making eye contact with you, sir, that was not a hair adjustment. That was a mating signal older than language itself. Here's the science behind it. The neck is one of the most vulnerable parts of the human body. The carotid artery, the jugular vein, the windpipe, they are all right there, completely unprotected by bone. In the animal kingdom, exposing the neck is a gesture of trust and submission. Dogs do it. Wolves do it. And yes, humans do it too. When a woman tilts her head and shows you her neck, her body is literally communicating, I trust you. I feel safe with you. I am not threatened by your presence. And in the context of attraction, that is enormous. But there is another layer to this. The neck is also an erogenous zone. The skin there is thinner, the nerve endings are more concentrated, and when she touches her own neck while talking to you, she is subconsciously drawing your attention to a part of her body that is associated with intimacy. Behavioral psychologist Dr. David Givens, who spent over 30 years studying courtship signals, identified the neck show as one of the 5 primary female courtship gestures. He called it the most reliable early indicator that a woman is open to further interaction. So next time you are talking to a woman and she does that slow head tilt, fingers grazing the side of her throat, do not just stand there. That is your green light. She is telling you something her mouth probably never will. Now, the second body part is one that most men completely overlook because it seems so insignificant. But I promise you, once I explain this, you will start noticing it everywhere. The second body part she shows you when she likes you is her wrists. Yes, her wrists. I know that sounds almost ridiculous, but stay with me because this is where it gets fascinating. The inner wrist is one of the softest, most delicate parts of the human body. The skin there is thin enough that you can see the veins underneath. It is a pulse point, meaning you can literally feel the heartbeat there. And across cultures and throughout history, the wrist has been associated with femininity, vulnerability, and sensuality. There is a reason women apply perfume to their wrists. There is a reason bracelets are one of the oldest forms of female adornment. The wrist is a signal amplifier, and when a woman shows you the inside of her wrists, she is amplifying attraction. Here is what this looks like in real life. She is sitting across from you at a coffee shop. Instead of resting her hands flat on the table or keeping them in her lap, she has her arms on the table with her palms facing upward or slightly turned so that the inner wrists are visible. Maybe she is gesturing while she talks, and her hands are open, wrists exposed, rotating outward. Maybe she is resting her chin on her hand with her wrist turned toward you. These are all versions of the same signal. Body language expert Alan Pease, who has sold over 30 million books on the subject, specifically talks about open palm displays as trust and attraction indicators. When someone shows you their palms and their inner wrists, they are saying, I have nothing to hide from you. I am open to you. And when a woman does this specifically during one-on-one conversation with a man she is interested in, the signal becomes even more targeted. I will be honest with you, as a woman, I did not even know I was doing this until I started researching attraction psychology. And then I looked back at my own behavior and realized, oh my God, every single time I was interested in someone, my wrists were basically screaming it. I would play with my watch, rotate my bracelet, rest my hand on the table palm up. It was like my wrists had their own dating profile and they were swiping right without my permission. The key here is context. If she is showing you her wrists during a job interview, she is probably just being professional and open. But if she is doing it during a candlelit dinner while leaning forward and laughing at your mediocre jokes, pay attention. Now, the third body part is one that almost every guy thinks he understands. But I guarantee you that what you think you know about this one is only scratching the surface. And the real psychology behind it might actually change how you see every interaction you have with women from this point forward. The third body part she shows you when she is attracted is her legs. And no, I am not just talking about wearing a short skirt, although that can be part of it. I am talking about something far more subtle and far more telling. Let me start with direction. This is the most overlooked element of leg body language. When a woman is sitting with you in a group and her knees are pointed directly at you, even though there are other people in the conversation, she is physically orienting her lower body toward the person she is most interested in. FBI behavioral analyst Joe Navarro, who spent 25 years reading body language for criminal investigations, says that the feet and legs are actually the most honest part of the human body. The reason is that people spend so much time controlling their facial expressions and hand gestures that they completely forget about what their legs are doing. The legs do not lie. But it goes further than direction. There is also the crossing and uncrossing. When a woman slowly crosses her legs in your direction, especially when she does it in a way that draws attention to the movement, that is a deliberate display. She is highlighting the shape and form of her legs. It is a grooming behavior, similar to how a bird fans its feathers. And the slow, deliberate quality of the movement is what separates attraction from just getting comfortable. Quick, snappy leg crosses are about posture adjustment. Slow, fluid ones with sustained eye contact are about you. Then there is the leg touch. I cannot stress this enough. If a woman touches her own thigh or knee while talking to you, she is creating a subconscious bridge. Studies in haptic communication, which is the science of touch, show that self-touch during social interaction often mirrors desired touch. In other words, she is touching the place where she wants to be touched. She may not consciously realize she is doing it, but her body knows exactly what it is communicating. And here is a fascinating piece of research from the Journal of Nonverbal Behavior. Women who are attracted to the person they are speaking with are significantly more likely to engage in what researchers call leg presentation behaviors, which include dangling a shoe from the toe, bouncing one crossed leg gently, or extending a leg outward in the direction of the other person. These are all micro invitations. She is not just sitting there, she is performing. I have a friend who figured this one out the hard way. He was at a bar talking to a woman who literally had her legs crossed toward him, was bouncing her foot, and kept brushing her knee against his leg under the table. And what did this genius do? He said, "Well, it was nice meeting you," and walked away to get another drink. When he told me about it later, I just stared at him. I said, "She practically wrote you an invitation on her kneecap and you went to get a beer." That is why I am making this video, because some of you need serious help. Now, here comes the fourth body part. This is the one I mentioned at the beginning, the one most men have never been told about. And honestly, this one shocked even me when I first learned the psychology behind it, because it turns out this particular signal is so deeply wired into female biology that women across every culture on the planet do it, even women who have been blind from birth and have never seen another woman do it. That is how instinctive this is. The fourth body part she shows you when she is attracted is her collarbone and shoulder area. And the way she does it is so subtle that most men never register it consciously, even though it affects them subconsciously every single time. Here's what this looks like. She is talking to you and she lets one side of her top, her sweater, her jacket, slide slightly off her shoulder. She wears an off-shoulder top when she knows she is going to see you. She touches her collarbone absent-mindedly during conversation. She adjusts her necklace so that it draws your eye to the hollow of her throat and the ridge of her clavicle. These are all variations of the same ancient signal. And here is why it works. The collarbone is one of the most sexually dimorphic features of the human skeleton. Women's collarbones tend to be more horizontal, more prominent, and more visually distinct than men's. Evolutionary psychologists argue that the collarbone became a secondary sexual characteristic because it signals health, bone structure, and femininity. In the same way that broad shoulders signal masculinity, a visible, well-defined collarbone signals femininity. So when a woman exposes this area, she is unconsciously highlighting one of the features that biologically distinguishes her as female. But the shoulder drop is where it really gets interesting. Dr. Monica Moore at Webster University conducted a landmark study where she observed over 200 women in social settings and cataloged more than 52 distinct nonverbal flirting behaviors. One of the most common and most effective was the shoulder shrug or partial shoulder exposure. Women who displayed this behavior were approached by men 4 times more often than women who did not. 4 times. That is not a marginal difference. That is a seismic one. And here's the part that really blew my mind. Researchers studying congenitally blind individuals, people who have never seen another human being in their entire lives, found that blind women still perform the shoulder shrug and collarbone exposure when they are attracted to someone. They have never seen this gesture modeled. They have never watched another woman do it on television or in real life. Yet they still do it. This means the behavior is not learned. It is hardwired. It is written into the biological operating system of female attraction. So when a woman is sitting across from you and she lets her cardigan slip, or she reaches up and traces her finger along her collarbone while looking at you, she is running a program that is older than civilization. She might tell herself she was just adjusting her top, but her body was doing something far more intentional. So now you know the 4 body parts: the neck, the wrists, the legs, the collarbone, and shoulder. But knowing them individually is only half the equation. The real power comes from reading them in combination. If a woman is showing you one of these signals, she might be interested. If she is showing you 2, she is probably interested. If she is showing you 3 or 4 at the same time, brother, she is not being subtle anymore. She has laid out a full buffet, and she is waiting for you to eat. Please stop standing at the door asking if the restaurant is open. A study from the University of Kansas found that most men can only accurately detect when a woman is flirting with them about 36% of the time. 36%. That means nearly 2 out of every 3 times a woman is sending you clear attraction signals, you are missing them entirely. And the cruel irony is that women often interpret your lack of response as rejection. So she shows you these signals, you do not respond, she thinks you are not interested, she pulls away, and you never even knew the door was open. This is why awareness matters. This is why paying attention to nonverbal communication is not just some fun psychological trivia. It is the difference between connecting with someone who genuinely wants you and walking away wondering why nothing ever works out. Now, before I wrap up, I need to say something important. Body language is contextual. A single gesture in isolation does not guarantee attraction. She might touch her neck because it is sore. She might cross her legs because the chair is uncomfortable. She might show her wrists because she is checking the time on her watch every 3 minutes, hoping the date ends soon. Context always matters. What you are looking for is clusters, multiple signals happening together over a sustained period of time directed specifically at you. That is when you know these are not random movements. That is when the body is speaking louder than words ever could. Also, and I cannot stress this enough, knowing these signals does not give you permission to be creepy about it. Do not sit there staring at a woman's neck like a vampire doing reconnaissance. Do not point at her wrists and say, aha, I know what that means. The entire point of understanding body language is to be more socially aware, more attuned, and more confident in your responses. It is about reading the room, not interrogating it. So here is what I want you to do. Think about the last conversation you had with a woman you were interested in. Replay it in your head, not the words. Forget the words. Think about what her body was doing. Where was her neck? Were her wrists visible? Which direction were her legs pointing? Did she touch her collarbone at any point? If you can answer even two of those questions, you are already ahead of 90% of men. If you cannot answer any of them, that tells you something important too. It tells you that you were so caught up in the words that you missed the entire conversation happening underneath them. Here is my challenge to you. The next social interaction you have with a woman, any woman, I want you to observe just one of these four signals. Just one. Do not try to track all four at once because you will end up looking like you are solving a math equation in the middle of a conversation, and that is not attractive. Pick one. The neck is the easiest to start with. Just notice whether she exposes it during your conversation. That is it. And then come back to this video and watch it again, because the second time you watch this, after you have started observing in real life, every single thing I said will hit differently. You will hear the same words, but they will mean 10 times more because now you will have evidence from your own experience. That is the thing about this kind of knowledge. It does not expire, it does not go out of style. Every interaction you have for the rest of your life, you will carry this awareness with you. And the guys who have this awareness, they are the ones women describe as, he just gets it. They are the ones who seem to always know the right moment to make a move. It is not magic. It is not luck. It is literacy. They learned to read what was always being written. And now so have you.